Hi guys, so today I'm reviewing the Nissan Navara Pro-4X. Now as I record this, the model has not officially been launched, although you would have watched by now my walk around of this car during a media preview at the Nissan showroom in Glenmarie. So today we are given 2 days with the Navara, and as a result, if you want to watch the videos of my other aurizn colleagues, you may have to wait a little while longer because there isn't enough time for us to turn around the car for every other team member. So the Navara Pro-4X, this is the range topping variant of the Navara NP300 facelift that was launched in 2015. So now this model is 6 years old, and this is supposed to be, I believe, sort of like a final push to this car to give it a couple of, to give it another 2 or 3 years of competitiveness before they phase in the next generation model. So the interesting history about the Navara or Nissan's adventure in the pickup truck scene. The first generation Navara that was launched here replaced the Frontier, and local distributors at Daran Tanchong Motor very cheekily gave it the marketing tagline, the mother trucker. So of course it is to portray that the Navara is something of a badass pickup truck, and that is underlined by the fact that the Navara had one of the most powerful engines in the segment. Okay, you remember back then the 2.5 liter YD turbo diesel engine punched out about 170 horses, 400 plus Newton meters of torque. It was a time when manufacturers saw fit to make a big deal out of 350, and now we had the Navara punching out 403 Newton meters. So move forward to the second generation Navara, which they called the NP300 Navara. Now here's where things get a little interesting. Globally, Nissan sells the NP300 Navara with the 2.3 liter YS series turbo diesel engine, but in Malaysia we continue with the 2.5 because the YS engine it's a Euro 5 or Euro 6 compatible engine, and as a result, the local distributors weren't sure whether the engine could accept the Malaysian fuel, so they carried on with the 2.5, and here we have today the Navara Pro-4X here continues with the same 2.5 liter engine that dates back to the previous generation D40 Navara. But of course, here the outputs have been further enhanced to 190 PS, 450 Newton meters of torque. All right, compared to 170 from the D40. So now in the pre-facelift model, there was also the option of a 161 PS, 403 Newton meter variant, but right now we are not sure if Daran Tanchong will be giving the lower variants of this new facelifted Navara with the 161 PS engine or this 190 PS engine that I am experiencing here today. So, and here's the thing, back then Nissan could legitimately claim that the Navara had the most powerful in-segment engine, alright, the most powerful 2.5 liter turbo diesel engine in the pickup truck segment, and in some ways that claim still holds true, but perhaps not in an entirely flattering light, because today nobody else uses a 2.5 liter engine amongst pickups. The best-selling Toyota Hilux is now available as a 2.4 or a 2.8. the Mitsubishi Triton is now on a 2.4 MyVac. Ford Ranger, even back, back 10 years ago, was trading along on a 2.2 and a 3.2 liter engine, and now they have downsized even further to 2 liters. And here's the kicker: even the most conservative pickup truck player in the market, Isuzu, they have also phased out their 2.5 liter in favor of a 1.9. So right now, the Navara is the only pickup truck in the market that is still trading on a 2.5 liter engine. But I mean, we can't argue against the numbers, and 190 PS, 450 Newton meters of torque, however you look at it, is decent output. Okay, and in reality, what we have here is that the Navara is hardly lacking, I would say, in terms of pace, and plus the fact that I think Nissan did a lot of work on the 7-speed automatic transmission, which is one of the more higher number of ratios in the segment, because other than the Ford Ranger, which had a 10-speed automatic, the best that everyone else to offer are 6 speeds. The only 7-speed offering in the pickup truck segment is here, the Navara. So you have one of the oldest engines in the segment paired with one of the more advanced transmissions in the segment. Now, one of the weaknesses, I would say, of the previous gen Navara, now here's the thing: the Navara was an absolute hoot to drive on road. I remember when I reviewed the previous gen Navara, I was terrorizing cars like Volvo V60s with their EcoBoost T4, T5 engines. I could keep up with them. All right, and the Navara's engines, I have to say, was bonkers on the road. But then I also remember another occasion when I had the chance to try out the Navara on off-road conditions, and that is where it becomes a less appealing engine, because you see, as much as 403 Newton meters is a very impressive figure. The Navara's outputs are delivered in a very peaky fashion. So see, you have to rev up to 3,000 or 4,000 RPM in order to get the maximum torque that the engine had to offer, whereas everyone else, you had full torque available from 1,005, 1,008 RPM. And the significance of that is that when you are off-roading on loose gravel, you don't want too much speed. You want a lot of low-end torque so that you can use gentle throttle pressure to ease your way up, rather than having to blast your way through, which is way more dangerous. So I remember driving the Navara, especially with the 6-speed manual, right, going up steep slopes with muddy terrain was quite a challenge, because I remember having to repeatedly upshift and downshift. So that was when I finally understood why sometimes what you want is not just sheer peak torque or horsepower, but rather a good spread of it across the rev range. So the Navara, great on highways, but perhaps not fantastic off-road. Now then came the NP300 Navara, and the biggest talking point, besides the fact that it was using a carryover engine, was that Nissan had switched to coil spring suspension, and that is an uncommon offering amongst pickups, because you see, the thing is that coil springs give you far superior ride comfort, but the problem with coil springs also is that they don't take loads quite as well as leaf springs. That is why commercial vehicles, right, those that need to carry heavy load, still prefer to use leaf springs, because leaf springs is the one that you can load the car up with you can carry a greater payload. But okay, so one thing about the Navara we have been told is that even with coil springs, this thing still has a payload of 1.1 tons, so you can carry 1.1 tons of stuff on the cargo bay, and the spring will hold. Okay, and the other advantage, of course, with coil springs over leaf springs is that when you're going off-road, there is the advantage that coil springs give you a greater degree of suspension travel, so that gives you better wheel articulation and better control. Now that is something to experience off-road, but what I can tell you now on the road, okay, is that the ride comfort of the Navara, I have to say, is definitely best in class, even superior, I would say, even to the Mitsubishi Triton. You see, the thing is that, right, most pickup trucks, okay, people always say pickup trucks have stiff ride quality. That's only partially true, because if you were to drive a pickup and you observe the way the front and rear reacts, most of the time the front end is actually very, very pliant, because the front end has double wishbone suspension, so it's usually very, very pliant. It's always the rear with the leaf springs that is harsh, that is bouncy, and the reason of it is that they have to make the rear end stiff in order to be able to take the high payloads of 800 kilograms, 900 kilograms a ton. Always with pickups is you have a pliant front, but you have a bouncy tail, and you feel that most of the time when you are crashing over speed bumps, because the front end will soak up the speed bump and the rear will just bounce about. Okay, will just go up, down, and bam, it will slam against the ground. But here in the Navara, all right, yes, it's still firm, it's still stiff in a way, but where it differs from other pickups is that it does not have that bounce. When the rear end goes up the bump and comes down and slams on the ground, it's just one action, and the coil springs just absorbs it, and the truck settles. So it's a very comforting kind of sensation that no other pickup trucks provide. Now, handling, well, honestly speaking, it still loses out to the Triton. Allow me to explain. You see, with the Navara here, the road holding isn't still as confidence inspiring as the Triton, and that is not helped by the fact that the steering here has a rather wake of center. Now I know it's a bit weird talking about steering feel, precise steering and all that, but you see, the thing is that modern pickup truck steerings have progressed to a point where most of them are already feeling closer and closer to passenger cars, and that example again, the Triton, comes back to mind. When I take, say right now I'm approaching a cloverleaf bed, if I'm in a Triton, all right, the steering, the feel of the steering and the sharpness of the steering gives me that confidence to point the nose where I want to go, and also the feeling of body roll is also much better controlled in the Triton than here in the Navara. So in a way, see, the Navara has a very, very plush, very compliant ride, but in terms of body control, it's definitely not amongst the segment's best. So right now I'm on the highway, and once again I have to say this YD series engine may be one of the oldest powertrains in the segment, but it still packs a wallop, and it pulls the Navara's weight along effortlessly, and pairs well with the 7-speed automatic transmission. The shifts in the context of a pickup truck are relatively smooth and seamless. And for a turbo diesel engine, it's pretty willing to rev all the way to its 4,500 RPM red line. Now, the other thing about the Navara is that this is a relatively old platform in the segment. So the thing is that Nissan's efforts in integrating, like the beeps that you're hearing now, we have forward collision warning, we have auto braking, we have late departure warning, we have blind spot warning. So the effort that Nissan put into integrate these advanced driver assist features in an aging platform should indeed be commended.
Saved about 500 bucks.
You save about 1,000 plus.
To work out cheaper for me.
4,000.
215, even more. It's for 200 plus, 400 bucks of savings. Okay guys, so we are about to return the Navara. I'm not going to do a too detailed walk around. I've already done this in my previous video. You can go and check it out. Here I'm just going to share with you guys some additional observations, pertinent observations before I return the car. So first thing you can see here, this is the shape of the illumination signature of the daytime running lights. I have to say it's very sharp looking. It gives the Navara a more modern looking, more sophisticated front end, and that is accentuated by this chunky grille, okay, with this thick framing around there that gives that enhances its bad boy image. All right, that's why they say with this car, with this truck, the tagline, the marketing tagline for this truck is "The Mother Trucker Returns." So you can see here the Pro-4X variant here comes standard with all-terrain tires, and this is a good feature to have when you go off-road, because firstly, all-terrain tires are more expensive. Second thing, right, with all-terrain tires, when you're traversing slippery surfaces or off-road surfaces, all-terrain tires give you much better grip. All right, and therefore what it means is that, say when you're descending down a slippery slope, you get more effective engine braking. Okay, and there are more instances where you can traverse certain terrain with 2H without even needing to go to 4H. And I just noticed at the lower edge of this bumper, there's this little flare out here, okay, presumably for the purpose of aerodynamics, okay, which is a nice little detail to touch on. Okay, yeah, so you see the bumper here is designed in a way that allows you to step on, and of course the tail lights with this three-dimensional effect. It's the cargo bed, okay, with these hooks, these movable rope hooks. So the interior, surprisingly, even in this range topping variant, no electric seat adjustment, and I feel that this plastic piece here could have been extended a bit lower to cover this mounting bracket here, okay, given the car a more upmarket appearance, because these seats, they really look quite nice, look quite upmarket. And yeah, so not having electric seat adjustment was a surprise, and I think this plastic piece could have been lower. Now we come inside, okay, and just to show you this display, a very high res display, nice color. And once again, this is an integrated head unit, all right, unlike before where they had the locally fitted TCAT system. This is properly integrated. You see, connects with the 360-degree camera. All right, when you go to the menus, and you know, and it goes nicely with the voice command function. Okay, so this is a properly integrated system, and it really gives the Navara's cabin a more upmarket feel than before. Okay, but otherwise everything else appears as it was with the pre-facelift model, but suitable touches have been put in here to enhance the cabin and give it a slightly more upmarket feel here in this range topping variant. Okay, to sum up the Navara, well, definitely the ride comfort is a highlight of this car. Absolutely plush and sublime. The handling, however, less convincing. And you know, the best thing is I can drive around at say 80-100 kilometers per hour. I can do this much movement on the steering wheel, and it has zero net effect on the direction of the car. So I mean, yes, this is the kind of thing that perhaps during the days when pickup trucks still had, you know, recirculating ball steering wheel, that perhaps would have been acceptable. But now with everybody running rack and pinion, and most pickup trucks already getting steering feel that's almost close to passenger car like, this is something that Nissan can definitely do better. Now the old powertrain is it's not something that I mind, because this engine here, I would say it does the job fine enough. It's as refined as one can expect from a turbo diesel engine, and yeah, and it pulls strongly, right? It pulls eagerly to the top of the ref range, and there's adequate twist from low. So the engine, I would say, it's yes, it's old, but it's not the weak link of the package. So the only question that now we may ask is what justifies buying the Navara, you know, when you're considering the likes of the other pickups. See, the thing is that the Hilux is everybody's default choice, and that position did not come overnight. That was achieved, you know, over I would say years of brand building on Toyota's part in building the Hilux's name and reputation into something that everybody trusts without hesitation. Against the Triton, well, I would say the Triton is still the enthusiast's choice of a pickup truck. It's the most convincing pickup truck to drive, you know, in enthusiastic and exuberant fashion. The Ford Ranger, I would say it's still the segment torchbearer when it comes to technology, when it comes to sophistication. Yeah, and of course the Isuzu D-Max, well, the Isuzu D-Max will have the benefit of being freshened up with an all-new model, and the D-Max also has built up an enviable reputation of being a pickup truck that people trust as workhorses. So the Navara, I would say, during the time of the D40, the Navara carved a niche for itself as being the most badass, the most powerful pickup truck in the segment. But today, with a carryover engine producing minimal gains from before, that niche no longer belongs to Nissan. So in a way, there is nothing fundamentally wrong or bad with the Navara that I can see, but rather finding a unique selling point, a pull factor, you know, that gives you the impulse that this is a must-buy pickup truck. It's not there. There's nothing to actively discourage you or to say no, you know, don't buy this. There isn't anything like that at all. But there's also nothing that we also struggle to find qualities that say, dude, you must buy this pickup truck. You must. That is where the Navara, I would say, falls a little short. And but the thing is that as I record this, we don't know what else is available in the range. All right, we only know that this is one variant on offer. We don't know the price, so too early to draw any firm conclusions. But I would say my feedback on this car is that nothing fundamentally bad, nothing wrong. Old engine, no big deal. Old platform, no big deal. But just it does not have a major pull factor to make you want one badly.
Safety 落 500 bucks.
You save about 1,000 plus.
To work out cheaper for me.
3,000, 4,000.
215, even more. It's for 200 plus, 400 bucks of savings.